I priced the binders at $5 each because they looked like school supplies. By sunset, the table was empty. I'd made $260, and my boyfriend was standing in our doorway holding a printout with numbers that made my stomach fall through the floor.
I'm Marisol.
34, Afro-Latina, marketing coordinator for a furniture store that worships light, airy, neutral. My boyfriend. X is Daniel, 36, software architect who likes his coffee black, his code commented, and his hobbies stacked neatly in boxes with labels. Those boxes lived on the top shelf of our hallway closet under a handwritten sign that said, "Please don't move. Inventory complete." I joked about that sign all the time. "What are you, running a museum?" He'd smile and say, "Kind of. A tiny one." Daniel collected trading cards. Magic, The Gathering, early Pokemon, a few odd sports cards from his dad. To me, they were glossy rectangles with cartoons and wizard words. To him, they were a long, patient story that started when his mom would buy him a pack after math club. We'd been living together 9 months. My job had me steeped in an aesthetic, sunlight through gauzy curtains, a table with one book and one candle that says vanilla in French. Influencers call it tranquil minimalism. I called it peace. Our hallway closet did not fit on my grid. One Thursday, our landlord texted to say a contractor needed the utility closet on Monday. That turned into me spiraling. We have too much stuff. And me DMing my friend Jess a flyer template for a charity yard sale. I pictured a Saturday morning spread, curated piles, iced coffee, me in a cute tank top and loose jeans saying, "Everything must go." Daniel was scheduled to spend that Saturday with his sister at a charity 5K and then help her move a dresser. He left at 8 a.m., kissed my cheek, and said, "Hey, please don't touch the top shelf boxes." He wasn't unkind. He was saying it the way you say don't pour water in the outlet. I texted back a heart, took my "everything must go" sign downstairs, and started sorting. We had mugs that made me feel like a thrift store, shoes that matched nothing, an armful of old throw pillows, a blender we never used, and those binders. 5 of them, leatherette, heavy, the kind of thing boys carried to school in the 2000s when you had too many pockets. I opened one and saw pages of plastic sleeves filled with cards. Some were faded, some crisp, some with little sticky tabs like Daniel had left himself love notes. A yellow mouse with red cheeks.
Fine, cute.
Dragons with dramatic names. A blue card that, to me, looked like a business card for wizards. I picked one up and said out loud to no one, "It's just paper." I stacked the binders on a table by the sidewalk and wrote $5 on a post-it because I read people buy faster with handwritten signs. The first customer was a teenager with an armful of Monster Energy drinks and the kind of mustache that starts just as a rumor. He froze when he saw the binders. "How much?" he asked, already reaching for the zipper. "5 each," I said, proud of my bargain charisma. He pulled a couple pages out carefully, eyes dilating. "You sure?" he said. I laughed. "You trying to haggle me up?" He texted someone furiously and bought 2 binders. Then he came back with a friend and bought the other 3, plus a shoebox labeled loose. A quiet man in a baseball cap bought the weird marbles, dice, for $3, and a dad with a toddler bought a dusty box labeled deck boxes because his kid liked the colors. By noon, the table was empty except for mugs that said things like, "But first, coffee." I counted 65s and a handful of 1s and felt virtuous. I took a selfie with my iced coffee and my empty table and captioned it, "We decluttering baby," with sparkle emojis. My phone buzzed with hearts. At 4 p.m., Daniel texted, "On my way back. You good?" I sent a photo of the tidy living room. 10 minutes later, he walked in, kissed my hair, opened the hallway closet, and went very still. He stepped on a chair, put his hand on the top shelf where the boxes had been, and patted like a person looking for a pulse. "Where are the binders?" he asked. Not accusing.
Not yet.
Just locating. I did the thing people do when a wave looms and they pretend it's just a nice breeze. "Baby, you're going to be so proud of me," I said too brightly. I did a yard sale. Donated the rest. We have space again. His eyes left mine and found the yard. You sold them? Babe, they're cards, I said, which in my mouth was a sentence that sounded like they're napkins. I got like $200. He didn't raise his voice. That was worse. He stepped down from the chair and went to his desk.
He printed something.
He handed it to me. It was a spreadsheet with tabs. Magic. Inventory, Pokemon.
Binders a menos e graded.
Safe, dice. EDH sets. Next to each line was a date and a value. Some items had notes. Grandpa's Jordan. Appraised 2022. Charizard. Gift from Jay, 2019. Lotus. Binder C, page 1, sleeve 3. I told you not to touch the top shelf, he said. He rubbed his forehead with his thumb the way he does when he reads bug reports. It's just paper, I repeated, quieter, the sentence already rotting. Those are worth. What, $20 a page? He sat down like his knees forgot the script. Marisol, he said, eyes finally honest with me, the Pokemon binder alone was worth $20,000. The magic binders, the one with the old blue cards, and the black border ones. Those were from the early sets. There was a Black Lotus in there. I laughed because the alternative was shorting out. Black what? He pulled up a website with hushed tone pricing. He didn't show me the biggest numbers because he is careful with my heart. He showed me our renter's insurance rider for the collection, the appraisal from a card shop with fluorescent lights, and a guy named Carl who always looked like he could smell if you touched something with Dorito fingers. I didn't know, I said, now fully in the dark with no flashlight. He looked at the spreadsheet and chewed the inside of his cheek. Okay. He said it like the word had weight. Okay. Who bought them? A kid, I said. And his friend. And a guy in a hat. And a dad with a toddler. I sounded like a liar because the truth was too vague to be useful. I tried to remember faces that, at noon, had been just hands with cash. Do you have names?
No.
Did you take payment digitally?
Cash.
Do you have any photos of the buyers? No, just my smug, empty table selfie. He nodded again, hopelessly gentle. Then he did what he always does, made a plan. He posted in the neighborhood Facebook group with a reward for returning the binders. No questions asked. He called 3 card shops and asked them to watch for anything that matched his inventory. He messaged the teen who'd bought an old controller for me last month. One anchor in a fog. He printed flyers, reward for return. No police, call, or text. He asked me to post our yard sale flyer again but updated to sold items mistakenly. Please contact. We sat like that, both working, but from different continents of the same problem. He wasn't cruel. He didn't call me names. He didn't throw a thing. He made me noodles at midnight because he could see I was shaking and my body doesn't obey logic when it's scared. He slept on the couch, not as a punishment, but because he needed space to be sad without me trying to narrate over it. The next morning, the teenager returned one binder with most of the Pokemon, sheepish and suddenly baby-faced. I didn't realize, he said, voice cracking. My cousin told me to come back. He said I gotta do the right thing. Daniel handed him $500 and said, thank you. He didn't make the kid feel small. He smiled like a man relieved to see one brick reappear in a wall he thought blown down. Another man returned a deck box with the blue business cards. New slang glinted at the edges. Duels, reserved list, power. Words I wish I had cared enough to learn before I labeled a box loose. He wouldn't take money. He just said, karma, and left with his hands in his pockets. The Black Lotus didn't come home. 2 of the most valuable pages didn't either. You can't unfry an egg. You can't unsell a legend. On Tuesday, Daniel packed a suitcase. Where are you going? I asked, even though I knew. I'm going to stay with my brother for a bit, he said. He zipped a duffel with the same careful hands that had sleeved every card. I need space to figure out which feeling comes first. Can we repay it? I asked, small and late. Alone? I can. He shook his head once. It's not a bill. It's trust. He put his hand on my shoulder. A benediction, not a claim. You didn't just sell paper, Marisol. You sold promises I made to younger me, and the hours I spent earning them back. There's a version of me that argues we're a team, that all things in a home are shared, that the money I made selling him junk was for us. That version would have lost him forever. The version that stayed quiet and sat with the shape of what I'd done is the one telling you this. He left with 2 plants. He said they were hardier than me. His laptop, his insurance papers, and the softest hoodie we had. He texted me 3 days later. Shop owner called. Guy tried to sell one of my binders. He matched my spreadsheet and called me. Got a few more cards back. Please stop posting about rewards. We're done with that. Take care. At work, I stood in front of a wall of white couches and convinced strangers that objects solve feelings. I did my job too well and listened to none of it. I unfollowed 3 minimalism influencers because my brain kept translating their captions into get rid of his stuff. 2 weeks later, a padded envelope arrived from a P.O. box with a handful of cards and a note that said, "Found these at the flea. Seemed important. The world will surprise you with tiny mercies when it's done teaching you big lessons." We met once in a coffee shop to split what was left of our life. He wore the soft hoodie. He slid me a list of kitchen items he didn't need and took the pressure cooker I never used. He put keys on the table. He didn't mention money. He didn't tally. He hugged me once in that careful way people do when their hands remember how to love you and their mind is trying to teach them not to. 3 months later, he posted a photo of a modest condo closing. Keys in his palm, his sister on one side, his grandpa on the other. The caption said, "Starting again." He had 2 binders back on a shelf. Smaller, scarred, still precious. Someone commented, "Deck night soon?" He replied, "Always. I rent a smaller place now." I keep a sticky note on my hallway closet that says, "Ask before you toss." It's ugly and bright and saves me from myself. When people ask me, "How could you not know?" I want to crawl inside the truth and nest there. I didn't want to. I liked the look of a clean line more than the weight of a history I didn't build. I wanted tranquil minimalism, more than I wanted to love a person exactly as he is. I kept telling myself I was creating space for us while I was bulldozing what was his. Sometimes the lesson is boring. Respect boundaries. Sometimes it's expensive. Sometimes it moves out. My remarks. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Well, she hosted a declutter sale and sold his labeled collection. Binders he'd specifically said not to touch. Only to learn the cards carried serious value, tracked by spreadsheets, appraisals, and an insurance rider. Yard sale deals are usually final, and police often treat this as a civil dispute, not theft, when partners share a home.
His win?
He kept receipts, calmly canvassed shops / next door, offered targeted rewards, recovered part of it, and, most importantly, protected his boundaries by moving out and starting fresh. Moral: love isn't light, airy, neutral. It's specific, labeled, and respected. If you want more grounded stories where standards quietly win, subscribe. See you tomorrow.